Part 2, because I got off track on addressing racism. So now I'm going to stay on track as completely as possible while I chomp down on one of these cookies in your face. Girl Scout cookies. My stomach hurts. Forgive me. Excuse me. Racism exists for the simple fact, as I said in the other video, we refuse to address it. And until we sit back and sit down and have a conference with 4 people of every race and every gender. So here's how this meeting should look. You have 2 black men, 2 black women, 2 white men, 2 white women. You have 2 Asian women and 2 Asian men. And they can come from any of the Asian ethnicities, Native Americans, Chinese, Japanese, they're all Asian. Mexicans too. So let's say you have 2 of every ethnicity on the planet chained to chairs and addressing why you hate someone because of the one thing that they can't change. Their skin tone, their ethnicity, their birthrights. You can't be mad at a white person because they were born white. Even if one white person spit in your face, you can't get mad at other white people for that, because not all white people are racist. And that same can be said for black people and Asian too. But you can't fucking address something if we don't sit down and talk about it. And you can be racist towards my religion. You know, oh, well, you believe in God, but you believe in Allah, or you believe in Jehovah, or whatever other name you want for God. Or if the Native Americans call him the Great Spirit. But I'm Catholic and you're Christian. I'm Baptist and you're Buddhist and stuff like that. Those are also forms of racism, but they're not as bad as the form of racism in which I am discussing, where people just all out hate you for the simple fact that you were born white, Asian, or black. I know you're thinking, what about Mexicans and Greeks and stuff like that? Okay, see, if you're white, you fall into that Greeks, Italians, French, and if you're Mexican, you fall into the Asian category because Native Americans are Asian. And what were Mayans, Aztecs, and Incans, and Amazons of South America? They were fucking Native Americans, and they were Asian. They're the ones who splintered and went the farthest down south. And that also includes Eskimos. Now, if you're black, that includes Jamaicans, Trinidad, Tobago, and Africans. And any other miscellaneous Fiji that I have missed in the process. And here's the thing. No one on earth literally went up to God and said, hey, God, before you decide where I'm going, give me the choice. I want to go to Earth. I want to be a female. I want to be Asian. I want to be sexy. And I want to be loved by everybody. And God looks at you and goes, off to Earth you go. Never gives you the word on where you're going. And you wake up, you're a happy little baby. About 5-6 years down the road, you find out you're a black man in the future. You're going to be black. You're going to be a man. No one's going to like you. And everybody's going to be racist. And they're going to talk bad about you because of the one thing that you can't change. And you're going to be looking up at God and be like, I swore when I was in Ball City, I asked the Lord for me to be beautiful, Asian, and a good family. Here I am, beautiful, black, don't know if I'm straight or gay, and I'm in a horrible ass family. You don't get a choice. It's just as simple. You do not get a choice. You don't get a choice on your gender. You don't get a choice on your height. You don't get a choice on your weight. Those are things that you can work on as you grow. But the main thing you don't get a choice on is your ethnicity or race or background. You don't get no choice on that shit. If you were going to be black, guess what? Your ass is going to be black. You don't get to debate that shit with God. You can't debate anything with God, really, because once you're born, you're here. Now it's up to your family to guide you down the straight path. It's up to your family to keep you safe. It's up to you to make proper decisions so that you don't fuck up your life. You know, it's the same thing with people like, well, there's so many young black men in jail. That can be a video in itself, but let me be the first to say something exceptionally rude, mean, and crude, but also 1000% the truth. The majority of men of color are in jail for two basic reasons. One, they listened to their friends and made a very bad choice. Two, they watched too much TV and thought that being a gangster meant they could do whatever the fuck they want until they got caught and got fucked up. And here's the third thing. Right place, wrong time. Might not have had nothing to do with it, and that would mean you're an innocent person sitting in jail, which is why they have the Innocence Project. Why I bite my cookie. If you done something to break the law, believe me when I tell you, there's consequences. Just ask me how many speeding tickets I got between the age of 15 and 25. I broke the law. I knew what I was doing. I decided that, I can't drive 55. But, I'll stress this but, I learned real quickly from the Goochland County Police I can drive 54. I was 23 years old at the time, and I was driving down 250, and the speed limit on 250 is 55 miles an hour. Now this shit was like one of those cartoons where you look down both sides of the street and you don't see anything like for miles. And the second you step in the street, you're mauled over by a bunch of deers and shit. My story is almost like that. I was wide open down 250. Wide the fuck open. Doing every bit of 65 miles an hour in my little green machine. There was not a goddamn cop in sight. Not one. Now, I don't know where Goochland County begins on 250. But clearly, wherever this cop was, his car was like the Viper. That motherfucker was invisible. Because when I hit 65, 66 miles an hour, blue lights was everywhere. I was like, whoa, on Christmas Eve. So I pulled over. And I wasn't going to lie to the cop. He goes, you know how fast you were going? Yeah, I was doing 65 miles an hour. Do you know the speed limit here is 55 miles an hour? You know what, to be honest, I wasn't looking at my speedometer, and I wasn't looking at the speed limit. I was just trying to get the fuck home for Christmas. And he said, and to be honest, if I want to, I will park your car over on this corner and take your ass all the way back down to Goochland and lock you the fuck up for Christmas. Now, how long you been driving? I've been driving since I was 16. How many times have you driven up 250 since you were 16? Not really ever. I just started driving to Richmond like a year or some change ago. He's like, okay, so you haven't been driving to Richmond at all. I said, not when I was 16. I was like, man, I wasn't stupid enough to try to leave town. I was like, I'm a homebody. If I'm going somewhere, it's because it has to be an emergency. So where are you coming from? I'm coming from a dad's house. It's like, well, here's how this is going to work. You're going to ride down 250. You're going to do 54 miles an hour. If that needle in my car, or if that needle in your car goes up to 56 miles an hour, I'm going to pull your ass over. I'm going to impound your car. I'm going to drag your ass all the way back down to Goochland in handcuffs. And you'll be spending Christmas in jail. Scariest ride ever. And after that day, my ass never drove 250 again. Ever. So yeah, I've broken some laws. Most of the time, it's been speeding. I have a lead foot. Outside of that, I've never broken the laws that count. I've never really broken laws that you can really be charged for. No. But speeding, shh. Yeah, I broke a lot of goddamn speeding laws. A lot of them. So, the cop that pulled me over was a racist cop. But he wasn't a racist cop. He was a big black cop who really wasn't sure what I was. And after he got my license and did all the rundown and stuff and let me go with a warning, so thank you very much, sir. He's probably retired by now. Hopefully he's alive and retired. But, yeah, he was a nice guy. But he seemed like he was kind of racist because he wasn't sure what I was. But once we got back down the Zion Crossroad, and he said, look, when I cut my lights on, you are to hit 64. I don't give a flying fuck if you do 100 miles back to Charlottesville because you won't be in my jurisdiction. But when you get 64, when I hit my lights, you go on down 64, and you run every goddamn bit of the speed limit and beyond because you won't be in my jurisdiction. And that's exactly what I did. And I did every bit of 70 miles an hour getting the fuck back to Charlottesville from Zion Crossroad, which was probably like a 15-minute ride, if that. But the point of the matter is, when you're racist, if you don't address the problem, you can't fix the problem. Here in America, as I said earlier, we need to sit everyone down, 4 people of every color, every ethnicity, sit down, handcuff their ass to a chair, and have them spout out reasons why they hate blacks or whites or Asians. And better yet, let's not even have them spout out. Let's tape their mouth shut and have them write down every negative thing they've heard about the people that they hate. So if you're in there and you're black and you hate white people, so you write all this stuff down. And you are white and you hate all this stuff about black people, and you write it down. And you're Asian and you hate blacks and whites and other Asians, you write it down. And there's a reason why I said other Asians. And if you're Asian, you already know the history of Japan and China, the history of North and South Korea, the history of North and South Vietnam, Laos, Nepal, Indochina, which is now Indonesia, Malaysia, any other places where Asians just didn't like other Asians. Which is why I said if you're Asian and you hate other Asians, here you go. Because I'm up to speed on a lot of Asian history as well. So if we addressed all those things and then put the same shit down on this and piece of paper on what do we all have in common, we will find out that we have more in common than we have dislikes. We all like to smell good, so we all take baths. We like to wash our asses. We all love sex, regardless of who we're having it with. We all love sex. Let's see. We all like to eat. Some of us like to eat different types of food. But if you ask what type of food you like, even though you hate those people, you be like, oh, I love me some Chinese food, but I hate Chinese people. How can you hate Chinese people, but you love their food? You see where I'm going with that? How can you hate black people, but you love soul food? I know some white people that can eat the fuck out of some chitlins. I personally don't like that shit. I don't like the way it smells, and I don't like chicken gizzard. But I've met some white people who are down with soul food because it's new to them. And once they get a good flavor of it, it's the same thing with me and Chinese food. My first Chinese food experience was pretty bad, but I've never stopped eating Chinese food. No. Don't really touch Japanese food that much. I will say that was pretty awful. Octopus and squid is not my thing, but, I also don't like tofu. I really don't like sushi. But, I love Japanese culture. I just don't like all of their food. And it wasn't too long a time back in the 90s where most of the Japanese cats wanted to be black. You see the cultural differences. Everybody wants to be black until they get arrested. Let's just state the fact. You can take that up with Paul Mooney, because he said it first. Everybody want to be black until they get arrested. Then nobody wants to be black anymore. Now, as I end this video, and I'll probably post these tomorrow while I'm doing my homework, we as people have to address racism to fix racism. And until we do, it's going to be the biggest problem on the planet. And now, there once was a saying way back in the day, and the only game that's ever proven it to be true would be Mass Effect. And the only way that we are all going to get along is if we are attacked by aliens. No. And if that's what it takes for us to all stop seeing people as race and start seeing people as people, then so be it. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. This is another 15 minutes of your life that you can't get back. Thanks for having me, and thanks for watching. Please like and share. Be seeing.